the Pac-12. It's Friday, and Utah going to be taking on USC. SC here laying that field goal. Total is 67, 8 o'clock on Friday night. And we saw this earlier in the season. And, boy, that was a fun game, huh? Boy, Dave, what do you think, man? Can they top that in this second go-around? Do you think anything changes in this matchup?
I don't think they can top it because it was an incredible game. But it might just be a rerun of the first game. And I think you can argue the two offenses are peaking right now. Caleb Williams is going to win the Heisman for USC. He's just impossible to tackle. His scrambling ability is incredible. Utah, I know they were playing Colorado last week, but still, you get 60+ in what was kind of a dead game for them. All they had to do was win the game. 43-42 the first time around. Going to have ideal conditions at Allegiant Stadium. These two teams are going to go up and down the field again. I'm expecting a lot of money to show on the over. I'm not going to commit to a side yet. I do have an opinion. I'm going to hold off on that because I don't want to get locked into it. But as far as the total goes, I don't know that either team's defense can stop the opposing offense. I think Williams and Rising are going to be the two stars in this game. And I would look for a game that has a reasonable chance to get close to the 85 they scored the first time. Maybe not quite as much, but certainly into the 70s. So I'll look at the over.
All right, going to look at the over here in this one. Kind of hard to argue with that, Ralph. Points should be plenty. It's a matter of which defense, I guess, can get a couple of stops when it matters most here. How are you leaning towards this matchup?
Well, I let me say this. There's no way in hell I would be betting the under here. I'm not going to bet the over either, but I clearly agree with that side. I'm going to give a lean. This won't be on my card, but I want to give you an opinion. I clearly have an opinion on Utah. Two offenses, the last 4 weeks, USC averaging 533 yards per game, 46 points per game. Last 4 games, Utah, 42 points per game, 482 yards. In that first game, you rarely see the linesmen needing oxygen. There were 58 first downs. Those guys were having to hustle down that field. So, seeing that again wouldn't surprise me. But it's the defense. Yes, Utah got thrashed that first game. They allowed 556 yards. But remember, they were coming off a UCLA game on the road where they had given up 502 yards. So they were a tired defense, and now I think they have time to prepare. That defense was only on the field 53 plays last week against Colorado. So I think that helps Utah. When I look at the season-to-date numbers, Utah's defense is actually number 12 in the country, holding opponents to 81 yards per game, less than they normally average. In the last 5 games, they've held Washington State, to their second lowest total of the year, Arizona to their number 3 lowest, Stanford to their lowest, Oregon and Cal to their number 2 lowest. USC on the flip side is number 78. Their defense is actually allowing their opponents 10 yards per game more than they normally average. Utah's been a staple here. They've been to this championship 5 of the last 6 years. Were played in Vegas last year, beat Oregon, and I think they're playing with house money. Coming into that final week against Colorado, I have to think you didn't think you were going to be there. USC, let's not forget, now playing with that pressure, win and you're going to make the playoffs. That's something they're not accustomed to doing. Thank God they have Lincoln Riley there instead of some previous coaches they've had. But, if I have one team that has the pressure of winning, one team that is semi-playing with house money with the better defense, I'm going to side with the Utes.
Going to side with the Utes in this one. I mean, we were talking, Rob Vino, early on before the season. We did a lot of these future videos, and hey, Utah was the team, right? They were the one that was going to take down the Pac-12. Then they lost to Florida, and everyone kind of stuck a fork in them. But yet, whoop, here they are in the Pac-12 championship with an opportunity to take it down. So what do you think about this round 2 we're going to get here?
Yeah, and on the flip side of that, Joe, I think USC, as far as the betting public is concerned, is a team that everybody's been waiting to stumble and fall, and they just never have throughout the season. And now, as Ralph mentioned, have a chance to be in the college football playoff. I would concur with every single thing Dave said about this being a high-scoring game. I mean, again, let's just view that first game in context, like I did with the Texas-San Antonio game. Here's Utah taking the field. First time they've ever seen Lincoln Riley's offense. The first time they've seen a lot of this USC personnel. Remember, they hit the transfer portal as hard as anybody. And what happens? The first 3 drives of the game, USC scores touchdowns. They go up, they get 21 quick points, and they gain 224 yards on those 3 drives. However, the next 8 drives of that game, once Utah settled in, they only allowed 332 total yards and 3 TDs. So they got used to it a little bit, assimilated to the USC stuff. Couldn't really stop it, but certainly contained it way better than they did the first 3 times. Could film study help them in this contest? Perhaps it can. Maybe Kyle Whittingham can make a defensive adjustment here or there. I wouldn't be so sure of that, however, because personnel is always going to win out in these situations. I don't think any defensive coordinator, unless you have Georgia's defense, I don't know that you can scheme your way out of USC's offense. So probably a lot of points by USC. Add that to the fact that Utah, in that first game, they scored touchdowns on 5 of their final 6 drives of that contest, and then pulled it out with the touchdown and the 2-point conversion at the very end. All of those 6 drives, they gained 60 yards or more. The only drive they didn't score on, they actually fumbled on the 3-yard line, and reminiscent of what they did against Florida when they got picked in the end zone and were going crazy in the second half, moving up and down the field. So they had no trouble whatsoever pushing the football against USC's defense. Had the ball 10 times. 8 of those 10 times, they gained 59 yards or more out of possession. I don't see any way either team stops each other. As Dave said, you've got great field conditions indoors here in Las Vegas Allegiant Stadium. Both quarterbacks playing really well. USC's just got receivers to no end. And the speed of the game just allows you that many more opportunities to score points. I would say that certainly this one has a good chance to get over the 67.
Yeah, up and over. Just get the popcorn ready. That's going to be one hell of a ride there. Should be a good time.